Good morning, Uganda. It's a Tuesday. Welcome to yet another session of Good Morning Uganda with the aim of making sure that you wake up with the right stories, the right information, and of course on the right side of your wishing you a happy one. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, Gaba murder, assessors call for Okello's conviction. Three-court assessors last evening advised the court to convict Christopher Okello Onyum, the prime suspect in a murder of 4 toddlers at Gaba Daycare Center, saying the prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, on the other hand, lawyers ask court to acquit Okello as ruling that one. But I am not alone. My partner in the best crime ever possible is back, and that is Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. Robert, good morning.
Good morning to you, Julie.
It's good to have you back.
Wow. It's good to be here.
Right.
And of course, serve Ugandans. We love, we cherish, we honor, we treasure our viewers.
Right.
Who wake up with us every morning. So I'm happy to be here again. So much has been happening. The Gaba murder, every day Okello appears there. There is something. But one thing that I will not forget is when he tried to call his witnesses. And I just imagine, Julie, if you knew that Okello was calling you, those didn't pick up, others the numbers were off. I think someone would just look at the call and say, this is now Okello calling.
Because of course he used his number.
Not me to pick you. Not me in such a trying moment that you're going
Such
through.
is life.
And yesterday, the Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, came up and said, you know, government compensate the traders whose property was destroyed during the recent restoring trade order in the city. You remember a number of streets, we saw KCCA, army and police knock down these shelters.
Right.
In the road reserves, some, you know, it was a mix. And FDC is saying, no, don't just halt. Please go ahead and compensate. Now that would be very hard, because if we find organized traders in arcades having challenges, who pay tax and all that. Yes, these ones also pay some licenses. But to me, this is a setback in the operation. Yesterday I was moving around some areas and I was seeing people reconstructing what was broken. You know, we need order.
Wow.
But people are already reconstructing what was, you know, what was broken. We accept livelihoods are destroyed, people's sources of income, but certain times we need to take that bitter pill. You know, we need to take that bitter pill and be determined and restore order. Some of these structures really cause obstruction, even when you're driving, even accidents.
I guess there should be some form of guidance from the authorities at this point, because there is a lot of contradiction
what
going
you
on.
feel is not proper.
Right.
But someone sets up a business, then you come, local government tax, then this. At the end of the day.
Keep in mind, though, that according to statistics, informal businesses in Uganda, or informal employment, carries about 85% of Uganda's working force that is employed by the informal sector. Which includes, I believe, the vendors, everything that's quite
But this makeshift of Mama Naka.
They are also employed, people employed there, and contributes to the country's GDP at that, with a very good statistic on there. Now, Robert, let's have a look at what the local scene has for this morning's update.
Well, the Sovereignty Bill's second week, where the scrutiny of the protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026 has entered its second week as parliamentary joint committees on defense and internal affairs, legal affairs and parliamentary affairs engaged different stakeholders, among others. The National Unity Platform, People's Front for Freedom and women activists presented their views. Renowned activist Miriam Matembe, also a former legislator and minister, described the bill as patronage and enslavement, which needs urgent healing. Many said the government is introducing a pressing law in the guise of cementing the protection of Uganda, which to many is already enshrined in Article 1 of the 1995 Constitution. Among the controversial proposals include giving powers to the minister to render certain Ugandans foreigners, which has been highly contested. Uganda Law Society, Foundation for Human Rights Development, and other stakeholders disregarded the bill. People's Front for Freedom and Democracy political party executive chairperson Elias Lukwago said framers of the bill have intentions of serving the interest of specific politicians. Lukwago claims this bill has faced more harm locally than by the foreigners. The critics maintained a stand that the existing legal framework accommodates the safeguard of Uganda. They maintained that the intended legislation would dilute the regulations. Meanwhile, city lawyer Yusuf Nsibambi, who also joined the NRM party recently, asked the committee to consider the bill. Sibambi's body language described who the bill is. Sibambi's body language described the bill as overdue. This provoked members of parliament to question whether Nsibambi participated in its framing. The bill under Clause 2 accommodates various activities that could render Ugandans criminal and foreign in nature. It further introduces sections where the Minister for Internal Affairs has powers to register and regulate foreign funding beyond 400 million shillings. In the meantime, there are various concerns that this bill will cripple a section of politicians and non-government organizations which have been receiving foreign support with loopholes in regulation. Now over to Gaba murder. Christopher Okello is accused of murdering several toddlers at Gaba Early Childhood Development Center on the 2nd of April this year. Following the defense's decision not to call additional witnesses, trial judge Justice Alice Komuhanji Kauka directed both parties to present their final submissions. Through his lawyer, Richard Kumbuga, the defense relied heavily on medical testimonies from prosecution witnesses, including psychiatrist Dr. Roger Agenda and police medical officer Dr. Niwamanya Emmanuel. The defense argued that the accused has had history of mental illness dating back to 2016. The defense also points to alleged negligence by the school, including failure to provide adequate security, lack of CCTV footage. The defense highlights gaps in the investigation, inconsistencies in the DNA evidence, which they argue failed to directly link the accused to some of the exhibits presented in court. On the video evidence, the defense argues that the footage allegedly showing the accused traveling to the crime scene makes it difficult to identify key details such as the motor vehicle and motorcycle number plates. In the meantime, the defense also challenges the credibility of the cyber forensic report by investigator Angulu Kenny, which they claim was based on a defective court order and affidavit. The defense urges court to acquit the accused. Chief State Attorney Jonathan Muwaganya from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution told court that it is the duty of the defense lawyers to provoke the scrutiny of their client. Prosecution clarification comes after defense lawyer Richard Kumbuga final submission faulting prosecution for failing to lead evidence of Okello's mental illness. The evidence Muwaganya laid in court of the 18 witnesses demonstrates that at the time of commission of the alleged crime, Okello was suffering from a mental challenge. Muwaganya further invited presiding judge Alice Komuhanji Kauka to ignore Okello's allegation of not being mentally proper as vague or not consistent at all. Electoral Commission Chairperson Justice Simon Byabakama has told the people of Kikube district that it is the responsibility of all the residents in the district to maintain peace during the election period. He was launching the election roadmap for the Kikube district LC5 by-election at Kikube district headquarters. Kikube district has 330 polling stations. Justice Byabakama said that in the by-election, the BVK machines will be used with at least 2 deployed at each polling station. He had advised local council 1 chairpersons to ensure that only residents known to them are registered to avoid the tendency of failing voters from other districts. Starting Wednesday, April 28th until 30th, they will conduct the voter register update, while the display of voter register will be carried out from the 13th to the 15th of May. Nomination of candidates will commence on May 25th to 26th, while from 28th May to 8th June, candidates will start campaigning, and June 10th will be the polling day. The electoral officer in charge of the Albertine region, Caroline Binamayoro, said that they want the voice of the people of Kikube to be heard. Kikube District Vice Chairperson Vincent Opio appealed to the Electoral Commission to divide up big polling stations. And coming to the end of our local stories this morning, Uganda has taken a stand against sexual and gender-based violence at workplace, with a national dialogue calling for safe, respectful, and good work-centered practices. The initiative targets reducing SGBV cases, which is 1 in 3 women experiencing in Uganda. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development convened a national dialogue to promote safe, respectful, and secure workplaces. The meeting with the Private Sector Foundation in Uganda and the United Nations Women brought together government officials, CEOs, trade unions, and survivor advocates at this gathering. The dialogue emphasized prevention through clear workplace policies and staff training, confidential reporting systems, and survivor center support and counseling services. Private sector leaders acknowledge that SGBV leads to absenteeism and legal risks. Employers are now being urged to adopt policies, train staff, and believe survivors. Well, that brings us to the end of our local stories. Let's see what Julie has for us on the international scene.
Thank you very much, Robert. And looking at what the international scene has this morning, we do have a story, of course, starting off from the U.S., and that is a California man that has been charged with attempting to assassinate U.S. President Donald Trump in an incident that has sparked a White House security review. Cole Thomas Allen, 31, was also charged with 2 firearms offenses when he appeared in court in Washington, D.C. yesterday. He did not enter a plea. He was carrying a semi-automatic handgun, a pump-action shotgun, and 3 knives as he charged past a security checkpoint at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday, says prosecutors. A Secret Service agent was shot but not seriously wounded during the attack at a hotel. The accused faces life in prison if found guilty. Dressed in a blue jumpsuit with a name tag, the suspect appeared calm at Monday's court appearance in the nation's capital. He was softly spoken as he answered almost every question from the judge with either "Yes, Your Honor," or "No, Your Honor," just as on you. And he stated his age and said he had a master's degree. 3 U.S. Marshals stood behind him and 1 at his side, while the federal prosecutor handling the case, U.S. Attorney for Washington, Jeanine Pirro, looked on. Staying in the U.S. 2.5 centuries after the American colonies declared independence from Britain, under King George III, his descendant, King Charles His descendant, King Charles III, arrived at the White House on Monday with transatlantic ties under strain and security in the spotlight. Trump and First Lady Melania Trump greeted Charles and Queen Camilla as they arrived, posing for photos and exchanging small talk before they went inside for tea in the green room. Afterward, the couples went down to the South grounds to see a new beehive in the shape of the White House that the First Lady had installed last week. Charles and Camilla both support beekeeping. He keeps at least 3 beehives at his private residence in England as part of his support for the environment and sustainability. After the White House visit, the royal couple attended a garden party at the British Embassy. A rift between the UK government and Trump over issues including the Iran war have already raised the political stakes for the British monarch's visit. In recent weeks, Trump has lambasted Prime Minister Keir Starmer over his unwillingness to join U.S. military attacks on Iran, dismissing Britain's leader as not Winston Churchill, the World War II Prime Minister who coined the phrase special relationship for the UK-US bond. All right, onto the continent. A small passenger plane has crashed in South Sudan, killing all on board. The country's Civil Aviation Authority said officials have sent a team to the crash site for investigations, but initial reports suggested the aircraft may have come down due to adverse weather conditions, particularly low visibility. The SSCAA added in a statement. The plane crashed about 20 kilometers southwest of the capital, Juba, on Monday morning. It took off from Yei at 9:15 local time, and air traffic control lost contact about 30 minutes into the flight to the capital. Among the 15 on board, the pilot and 14 passengers were 13 South Sudanese and 2 Kenyans. The manifest says the plane, a Cessna 208 Caravan, was operated by CityLink Aviation Limited. South Sudan, the world's youngest country, has a poorly developed transport network, and the aviation industry does not have a good safety record. More than 55 planes crashed in the country, resulting in dozens of fatalities in the decade following independence in 2011. And that brings us to the end of what we have in the foreign updates. Let's have a look at what the dailies carry as headlines this morning.
Well, the bill, what the opposition and civil society had to say in their input there. Then Mukalazi from Fishmonger to Holmesdale Schools founder. And glamour as Karujire gives away daughter. Well, it was really glamorous there.
Yeah.
And beautiful. And still moving on, Chambogo must government sponsorship list out. But also in the new vision, people vanishes from Kisubi school. That's a story there. Let me now go to the Daily Monitor. Still the bill input there. Where will it end? Then judgment of Gaba daycare killing set for Thursday. So Thursday is the day that many Ugandans will be waiting.
Right.
And still moving on, the lizard is here. He has something to say. Mau runs to clerk to stop quick induction of MPs, and he will not benefit. The lizard says something there. But of course, still in the Daily Monitor here, why Holmesdale Schools owners spent 30 days in prayer. And scientists behind Uganda's first bone marrow transplant. Julie, to me this was a breakthrough.
Indeed, it was.
Many Ugandans who have families that have warriors, some who have that background, and I happen to be among those. So when we hear that this bone marrow transplant is done here and successful, we give all glory to God and of course our government for having gone that far in science breakthroughs. Surely
indeed, that's a very good, very worthy story to celebrate therein. Now looking at the rest of East Africa, the Citizen in Tanzania there, government sets aside 20 mining service groups for locals. That's the headline. And COOP Bank marks 1 year of financial inclusion growth, and how insurance firms' profits doubled. Analysts to Chadema do this to regain traction, and experts call for law as maternal health care policy founders. Looking at the Daily Nation in Kenya, Gachagua's U-turn, that's the headline on there, but also a point of celebration as Sebastian Sawe super shoes and supersonic marathon speed, given the record he beat over the weekend, and governor wanted by MPs over suspect 14 billion shillings payout. Those are some of the stories we have in the dailies this morning. And of course, when we get back, we are looking at celebrating the 5th edition of CPA M&G Connect with Cheers. More of that story when we get back. For now, let's have a short break and we'll be